Hi, I'm Catherine Mangiardi, CEO and founder of Women's Health and Wealth. Each episode will interview fierce females of today, from visionary thinkers, healers, creatives, entrepreneurs, CEOs, and badass moms that are changing the status quo by living up to their full potential, all in hopes to inspire you. Along the way, we'll have many laughs about being a wife, a mother, with candid conversations and hilarious co-hosts. As women, we are all more alike than we are different, and that is a fact. Welcome, everyone. I'm Catherine Mangiardi. Welcome to Fierce Female Podcast, Women's Health and Wealth. And today I'm here with Dr. Alison Escalante, who is just a brilliant doctor, pediatrician for 12 years. But more importantly, she is a TEDx talk and in the process of writing her book. And you know, the thing I love about you, Alison, do you mind if I call you Alison?
Not at all.
Okay. The thing I love about Alison is that she is this brilliant pediatrician in the Chicagoland area, but more importantly, she's really connected to us as women and, what we go through on a daily basis of, the statistic is 96% of women suffer from anxiety in the U.S. and 80% of them suffer from anxiety on a weekly basis. Mm-hmm. I mean, you shared that statistic with me, and I was just blown away by that statistic. I mean, the amount of anxiety that women go through is unbelievable. And so you're really rooted in what women go through. And I kind of just jumped right into this topic because it's like a passion of mine, and I just love talking about it. So I'm so glad you're here with us today to really share with women. Your Should Storm TEDx talk, by the way, is hilarious. If anyone's ever seen her TEDx talk, it's called The Should Storm, and her blog is. I was literally crying laughing when I was reading one of your blog posts. The Disney one was unbelievable because it's so on point of what we all go through on a daily basis. So I have to stop talking because I really want to hear from you because I'm so excited to talk to you today about this topic. So, you're writing a book, so just tell us a little bit about what your book's about and some key points.
Well, I think the first thing I want to say, Catherine, is I was very interested with the way you introduced me because you
right.
mentioned that that I'm connected with what women are going through. Mm-hmm. But that's because I'm a woman.
Yeah.
That's
so true, right? I guess so.
And so I think so often we see someone who's an expert or who's a doctor, and I hear this a lot from my patients and my patients' parents, the surprise that doctors get sick too, that we worry too. And so I understand it because I'm right in it. And yes, my book is, the working title is The Should Storm, Why Worried Parents Raise Worried Kids and What to Do About It. But the Should Storm is bigger than just parenting. You quoted the anxiety statistic on women from the Healthy Women Survey. We also know that kids are growing up anxious. So I believe it's 91% of Gen Zers report that they have had physical or emotional symptoms of anxiety or depression.
Wow. And what age is the Gen Zers?
Right. So the Gen Zers are going to be the older kids and the very young adults right now. So we know that it's everywhere. And we see a lot of titles all the time,
right,
as though it's us, right? If we could just optimize, if we could just do more mindfulness and, use the right apps, we wouldn't be so anxious, right?
Yeah, right.
But my claim is that that's not the case, and I would really like everybody to stop picking on parents. I just saw a great title in the New York Times. It was called Parents Are Robbing Their Children of an Adulthood. And it was actually a great piece once you got into it on the college admission scandal. But
right.
The point was this title. And the article even went on to say that even though you're not cheating to get your kid into college, you're kind of doing this a little bit too.
Right.
And my point is that when we're constantly hit by titles like this, we're just crushed by this feeling that I love my kids. I'm always getting it wrong. No matter what I'm doing, it's never enough. I feel terrible about it.
Yeah.
I worry all the time. I feel guilty. And somehow it's all my fault.
Oh.
That is
the
the
guilt.
should storm. The storm of shoulds. You should do this. You should do that. You should definitely not do this. And if you do it, you're going to mess up your kids for life.
Oh, God.
And it's
all
not-
moms know this.
Yes.
Any mom knows that you should be, like you should breastfeed. And if you don't breastfeed, you're going to screw up your kid. Like, all moms go through it. I mean, I happen to nurse both my children.
Yeah.
But there's some women that can't nurse, right?
Well, when you get time, read my blog post about my nursing fiasco. But, you know, I mean, and that's it. And I think the should storm is a lot bigger than that. I think we feel it in the workplace. We feel it as women in general. You know, guys, we're supposed to be successful and beautiful and fit and healthy, and we're supposed to make it look easy, right?
I love how you do that. It's
Yeah.
so true.
But it's not easy.
Yeah, and you
It's
go
not.
crazy.
Yeah, you're going crazy. That's right.
All the American women are going crazy. Like you just did a blog article that just went viral
It did.
about. Can you explain that? The stress, American women stress.
Right. So one of my recent articles for Psychology Today, it's called "Mothers Are Drowning in Stress," and it did go viral. And it went viral, I believe, because it told the truth. And it was a post all about the situation in the U.S. versus other Western countries, particularly for working mothers. And what has been found by this research is that American moms are alone in the world in terms of Western modern countries in receiving virtually no support.
Wow.
Expecting to do it all themselves, a belief that mothers are totally necessary to their kids and nobody else can replace them, including dads can't step in really. And in the middle of all of this, American mothers are alone in believing that they just don't expect any help. They just expect to do it all themselves.
Right,
And
yeah.
then they feel guilty and ashamed
when they can't.
when they can't.
So why do you think that
Yes.
is? I mean, obviously do finance, so I see, you know, a lot of times moms have to work because it's
Right.
so expensive.
Right,
You need a
right.
dual income household, right?
Yeah.
So why do you think that is? Is it because there's moms are working and dads are working, and then the moms are still expected to go home, cook and clean and do all these other things, the same as the husband's working too?
You're right,
Is
right.
that what?
That's part of it. I
Okay.
think that as the millennial parents are coming up, that's getting a little better. You know, the guys are pitching in more.
Yeah.
The book that this article was based on was by Dr. Caitlin Collins, and she identifies two main cultural reasons that this happens to us as U.S. moms. And one of the biggest ones is a sort of myth of motherhood, an idea that we are almost like a mother goddess. You know, and
So what is that supposed to mean, a mother
well,
goddess?
an example of this would be actually to pull off moms and go to the dads, right? So I've been interviewing a lot of interesting people for my book and looking at different experiences. And what I keep hearing from the dads, particularly the stay-at-home dads, the ones whose wives are working, who are
Wow.
the primary caregiver,
Ooh.
and they're telling me, you know, I go to the grocery store like I do normally because I'm the stay-at-home dad, and people will come up to me and pat me on the shoulder and say, "Oh, is it Mom's Day out?
No.
Are you babysitting for mommy?"
Come on.
And
this
I
can't be
hear
true.
this. No, I hear this
Oh my
again
God.
and again. And now I've started deliberately asking men about this comment, and it comes up a lot. That idea that when a dad is with his child,
Wow.
he's babysitting for mommy.
And it's so programmed
And it's programmed.
in our mind.
It's programmed.
It's just the way it is. Nobody told us that that's the way, that's what
right.
it's supposed to be. It's just programmed.
Yes, and in the same
that's the
situation.
problem.
So when you flip the roles, I think it's a great way to look at what we really believe, right?
Right.
So the moms whose dads stay home tell me things like they call to check in regularly, right? They do all these things to make sure that instead of really him being in charge and she's at work, she's almost delegating responsibility to him.
Right.
Because if the kids don't turn out, who are we going to blame? We're not going to blame him.
You're going to blame ourselves.
We're going to blame ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the should storm. It's this culture of criticism and anxiety that sets up impossible goals for us, and then shoulds all over us and tell us that we're messing up all the time.
But don't you think, Allison, that it's like, it's partly our fault that we're brainwashed to think that we need to do it all? It's all our fault. And I think women need to stop blaming themselves, like you're saying, and kind of, you know, just let go of the guilt and all of that.
I hear that, but if I were going to use the word fault, I'd use it very carefully.
Right.
Because I think that when we think about culture, you know, weird tidbit, before I was a doctor, I studied cultural history as an undergraduate.
I've actually read that about you.
And so,
at Princeton, right?
At Princeton, yeah.
Okay, so don't be intimidated by her. She's very smart.
Nerd. But anyway, so...
You said it!
Of course, I love it. I love being at an age where I can let my nerd flag fly and not be embarrassed about it. I'm just like, yeah. But culture is not just, like, that's the whole thing. That's the American default, right?
Yeah.
If it's not working out, then I need to change my mindset.
Oh.
Okay, and
that's huge.
There's something to that, but I gotta say that culture is not something we build as an individual. It's built by our whole group. It's something we can change as a group, as a sisterhood, but it also flows out of history, flows out of our parents, flows out of policies that are in place socially and governmentally. And so, like, okay, I'll give you an example of how culture works. When I became a mom.
Okay. Oh, geez. Just the way you said that. Just the way you said that.
I went into it, right, as a pediatrician.
Oh.
A pediatrician with all of this expertise in children, who had done, because I'm really interested in this stuff, I'd done a ton of extra study beyond most others on, like, psychology and child development, right? And I was going to be the mom who implemented, like, state-of-the-art child development, scientific parenting, right?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, go ahead.
And it crushed me. I mean, I was amazed by the wave of anxiety. I understood then, because it was now, it just bowled over me. And then, of course, you know, I've written about it, but my son had a very severe and rare form of food allergies that made him cry around the clock. So that contributed, But here's the thing. I looked around, I looked at the other moms, and I especially looked at the other doctor moms, and I knew the truth at that time. I was the only doctor mom who was completely failing as a mother and couldn't hack it.
Really?
Because look at them. They all looked great. I mean, they looked like you. They had fabulous hair and
I don't do it alone, though,
looked really professional, right?
Right.
So they looked great. They were handling patients and long hours and kids and everything.
Yeah.
And then it was years into my motherhood that I joined a secret Facebook group for doctor moms.
Really?
And that was when I found out that everybody felt the same way.
No kidding.
We cried as we confessed on social media how we all felt.
Come on.
The anxiety, the overwhelm, and the feeling that everyone else was hacking it and not us.
No kidding.
And that's what culture does, right? Culture told me, I got this message that I was supposed to be doing all these things and that I was alone in my failure. And it was only when I had an experience with other women.
Right, where you were able to come out and be like, I'm not alone. There's so many other women that go through
and all these things suddenly poked holes in what I believed, but those beliefs came out of culture.
Yeah. So really you had like a sisterhood. So you had a group of women that you were able to confide in a comfortable space.
Right.
Where you were able to come out and say, look, there's a lot of other women that are going through this. Yeah, that's amazing.
And that is my belief. It's so, you know, I think it's really so important for us to be doing events like the Health and Wealth Summit coming up, because it's some of the very thing that makes us great as moms is also where our real talent and power comes together for really changing a lot of this. It is the sisterhood. It is the way we can build each other up.
And supporting other women.
Yes.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Right.
Is women supporting women. And that's kind of how, just a quick talk about our women's health and wealth. Dr. Alison Escalante is going to be speaking at that event April 27th, and she's going to be talking all about the should storm. So if you don't catch everything here, she's going to be talking there at that event. But that's awesome what you're saying, because it's so true. That's kind of how this whole thing metamorphosized, this women's health and wealth came about, because I'm out there talking to like everyday women, and they all go through the same stuff, and they're afraid to really come out and say it. You know, today I was at the gym, and the woman next to me was talking about, oh yeah, I happen to have like 3 glasses of wine last night. And then she said like, oh yeah, I just drink too much wine. And I'm thinking, gosh, these women go home at night and they just drink too much wine because they're so tired and they just can't cope and handle with all the stress and anxiety in today's society.
Yeah, I don't have a statistic on that, but there is in fact a mommy drinking problem in the U.S. There is, yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying like all women that drink wine have a problem.
No,
but
I had some really great red wine last night.
Yeah. Right. But like we've all been there, right? But the whole anxiety in women trying to do it all, and just taking that fold back and having a real sisterhood of people that can come out and say, look, it's okay, you know, you have a tribe. And I love the fact that we're meeting face to face, because this is the first time we're meeting face to face.
Right.
And what I remember when we first talked on the phone, you were saying how your son just got Legos in the mail, and he was so excited. And my son is obsessed with Legos also. I step on them daily.
All the time.
Yes, and they kill your feet.
They really hurt, yeah.
And so I love the fact that all these amazing women, and there's so many amazing mentor women out there, and they're out there to support you.
Yeah.
And so really what this whole like women's wealth and health is about women coming together and supporting each other, but on a higher scale. You know, like not, you know, we need to stop like the cattyism, the ego, the jealousy, all that stuff, and just start rising above that and saying, look, you know, you go through what I go through, maybe not the same level, but hey, let's come together and let's share our experience.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's awesome.
So when we get to that, what I'll be doing as my talk for that event is not just talking about the should storm and how it affects us, but I'll be teaching the 3S method for moving out of anxiety and into our leadership. And I will also be, for the first time ever, speaking about the 3 Fs of facing failure.
Ooh,
it's going to be fun. Yeah.
Okay, so touch on the 3 S's first.
Sure.
So what is that?
Yeah, so that's sort of, okay, it's wonderful to recognize that we're not alone, that it's not all our fault, that there's a systems problem, there's a cultural problem, but great, what do I do? Right. And, you know, a lot of people have proposed certain policy changes and stuff to support women, but, you know, that's going to take forever, right? And we need to get there, but what do I do today?
Yeah.
Because today I'm stressed out and I've got a kid throwing a fit about some stupid little thing and I got to deal with it now.
Yeah, right. And I need the tools to be able to deal with that now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And is there something that we can do that it does not involve taking the edge off with a couple extra glasses of wine, right?
Right.
And so that's where the 3S method comes in. And so every time you feel a should, sigh, see, and start. Sigh, see, and start. Yeah. Okay. So every time you feel a should, you're about to react to that child with the should in your head instead of connecting with the kid in front of you. So sigh, which I love sigh because half the time we do that anyway, right? Or like, okay. But this time when you feel yourself doing it, like do it deliberately, right? So, and it's really important. Sigh is one of the only breaths we do where we breathe out slowly. So you want to take that deep breath in, but then more importantly, blow it out as slow as you can. And if you're really, did you feel the difference?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, it automatically calms you.
It does.
Right.
This is a neuroscience hack. This is based on something called polyvagal theory, and it moves us out of fight or flight, which is where we're in anxiety, into our ventral vagus nerve, where we have calm and connected going on. Wow. So we sigh when I'm
something new.
Yeah, and when I'm really stressed out, I do it 3 times. Helps a lot. Okay, and then you see. Okay. So now we're not looking at the should anymore. Now we are seeing our child, seeing our situation. seeing what's going on with our boss, right, at our work situation. See body language, see what's in front of you, and then, and only then, start. You can start something.
Like start new.
Yeah,
start
or you
fresh.
can start nothing. Sometimes doing nothing is the best thing. And what I love is you can start the wrong thing. If you get it wrong, it doesn't matter. If you get it right, you get to file that away. And you're like, okay, great, I learned something. But if you get it wrong in that moment, that might actually trigger a should. Like, oh, I should have done it differently. I suck. And so that's when you immediately want to sigh, see, and start again.
So let me ask you this. So let's say, like, I have children at home. So when my 2-year-old, he's going to be 3, is acting out and he's just throwing a huge fit.
Yes.
And I know that he's in that spot, in that moment.
Right.
What is your, like, so take us through that, like the three S's. Like,
Okay.
So my kid's acting out. I want to throw him across the room,
Yes.
but I can't, right?
Yes.
So
I applaud your honesty, right? Because that's another thing we do. We fake it and pretend we don't really feel that way.
Yeah,
right? But we do.
right.
Okay. So you want to throw him across the room. What's the should in your head?
Right.
Well, the should might be, he should not be screaming like that.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're going to try to make him stop screaming.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Or you're going to get all weird and use something you read about in a mommy blog somewhere like, oh, we should connect.
And we should hug.
Oh, and inside you're like, "Rrr," and he knows this, so it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's going to feel all this.
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
Okay, so sigh.
Okay.
See him. See what's going on with him. When you do the sigh step, you can do it here, or some people do it at the C step, but connect with how you're feeling. And see if he looks like he's about to punch something. See if he looks like he's about to cry. Okay? And then and only then start. If he looks like he's about to punch something and he's tantruming, you probably want to start nothing, because we know that leaving them alone works best, right?
Right.
If he looks like he's about to cry, you might want to start edging toward him to try to give him a hug. But it's going to be completely different because you just hacked your nervous system. You just moved into a place.
So your reaction is going to be different.
Yes. Yeah. And it turns out that we can even set rules with our kids and set limits. And depending on where we are in our nervous system, the kids are going to perceive it totally differently.
No kidding.
Yeah. So if I'm revved up in my anxiety, in my fight or flight, and I say, do you want a hug?
Oh, they're going to feel it.
Right. Like, oh, she's clearly just trying to get me to stop this, right?
Yeah.
Not going to work. But if I have now sighed myself into my adult self, right?
right.
Then I'm going to say, hey, buddy.
It's okay. Yeah. And they
do you
feel
want
it.
a hug? And he might say no, or he might say yeah.
And
but
their
it's going to be
intuition.
different. It's going to be different.
Yeah.
And so I got to tell you that I have wanted to find a way to help for years, but I was astonished that something that sounds this simple, right? And it's not, because it gets you into this whole different mindset. Instead of blaming yourself, now you're trying things, you're accepting mistakes, you're growing, like all this cool stuff. But what I've been amazed by is how quickly it's changing things in people's homes. And so I'm getting these amazing stories from people about how it's changing things for them the day they start using it.
Wow.
And I'm gonna tear up if I keep,
if you keep talking about it.
Yeah.
But that's really it's so true, because women, like even men too, like fathers go through it too when their kids act out. I mean, moms, we've all been at a grocery store when our kid freaks out crying and you have all these other women staring at you and saying like, oh, you should be doing this, or and then you sometimes get like some moms and some women that come up to you and say, oh, don't worry about it, I had kids at that age. And you're just like, you just want to like crawl underneath the cash register because your kid's freaking out, but you use the 3S situation.
In fact, one of the stories of feedback I got was actually from a mom who went through this with her special needs child.
Oh gosh, that's
at
hard.
the grocery store. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And she experiences public shaming regularly when she goes out with her child. Sometimes it's dirty looks or, sounds. Sometimes people say it explicitly or tell her what she should be doing. But when she started using Sigh, See, and Start in those situations, she was able to really stay focused on her son
Right.
in those moments. And she told me that when she started doing that, it was the first time she didn't feel intense shame in those moments. And that she was able to keep loving and valuing her son, even when she was, normally she'd feel humiliated. And she actually felt like a good mother instead of feeling humiliated in those moments. And that's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Dr. Allison is going to be speaking at our Women's Health and Wealth event. So if you guys, anybody wants to hear about the 3 F's, is it?
The 3 F's of facing failure.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
The 3 F's of facing failure. I'm excited to hear about that. Like,
Yeah.
that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So she's going to be speaking at that event, and I hope all of you guys could come out to that. So what is the, there was so many nuggets that you left in this conversation.
Yeah.
What is the one thing that you want women to take away from, this?
So, right. And just, okay, so when we do the workshop at the Health and Wealth Summit, we'll be looking at the should storm in parenting, but also in being a woman in general, in the workplace, looking at how we can use the 3 S's and the 3 F's. But the biggest takeaway is really 2 things. Number 1, the should storm is not your fault. The guilt, the shame, it's not your fault. And you're doing a better job than you think you are. And the second takeaway is very important. What your child needs is not a particular technique. It's not something specific from you. What your child needs is you.
That's so true.
It is.
Yeah. Because that's all they really are looking for. And
Right.
sometimes when they're acting out, they just want your attention.
Exactly. So much of child misbehavior is about trying to get you to be really present with them.
Oh my goodness.
And that's what happens when we sigh, is we become present in a way that we weren't just a second ago.
We could go on a whole nother conversation about that. just that in general with the anxiety and that. But we're going to wrap it up for today because I could seriously talk to you for another 2 hours. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
But so come out to the April 27th event, and hopefully we could do part 2 of this because there's so much.
Yeah.
There's so much that I feel like we didn't touch on because of, there's just every angle you could go through with parenting. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So you are amazing, and I love what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
With all the should storm and the anxiety in women. And so thank you so much for coming on today.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad we connected and were able to be in each other's lives.
Me too.
All right.
Too. I feel like we need a hug now.
Okay, we can hug.
Aww.
Okay, everyone, we'll see you next time. Thanks. Life is full of unknowns. We've all experienced them in one way or another. Every woman has a story to tell. This is where we can come and inspire other women. So let's empower, learn, and lift each other up. See you next time.